Morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Laguna Beach. I'm Donna McCartney and I'm honored to be your worship associate today. So the greatest love of all is learning to love yourself. What a wonderful, what beautiful lyrics and what a wonderful performance by Whitney Houston, reminding us all about how important it is to love ourselves. And that's what our service is about this morning, self-compassion and self-love. So we need to be compassionate with ourselves, just the way we are with our family and our friends. The way to accomplish that, I think, is by first loving ourselves. If you hear your inner voice saying something like, well, that was a dumb thing to do, or you're always messing up relationships, then you're experiencing self-loathing. Our service today is going to focus on why stopping this way of thinking, and it will help us to develop self-compassion for ourselves. And when we are self-compassionate, we can become even better social justice warriors, as you use. So it's time to light our chalice. In each heart lives the flame of truth, bringing warmth and light, hope and inspiration to the human journey. Lighting our chalice on Sunday mornings is a reminder of that inner flame and of the need to nourish it and share it with one another. So light yours at home as well, if you choose to do so. For the wonder and inspiration we seek from sun, moon, and stars, and all the lights of the heaven, we light this chalice. May the light of understanding illuminate our darkness. May the warmth of caring bring us healing and peace. We are the warmth. We are the light. Brene Brown says, talk to yourself as you would someone you love. On your screen coming up is our centering thought for today. You're going to remain muted as I read it, but read along from home if you choose. The centering thought is reading number 505 from Thich Nhat Hanh, found in our gray hymnal. So it'll be up on this, there it comes. So let us be at peace with our bodies and our minds. Let us return to ourselves and become wholly ourselves. Let us be aware of the source of being common to us all and to all living things. Evoking the presence of the great compassion, let us fill our hearts with our own compassion toward ourselves and toward all living beings. So we're delighted to have our music director, Carol Cole, singing and playing the piano for us, as usual. So we're going to be muted while Carol sings and plays hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. If you want to sing along from home, the lyrics are in the chat box, courtesy of Pam. Thanks, Pam. Carol?
Good morning, everyone. We're going to sing this through 3 times. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Moving the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots forming rose, wings set me free. Spirits of life, come to me. hold me close, we set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow with the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Thank you, Carol. That was beautiful. It's always so lovely hearing you play for us each week. So there's a short affirmation that I invite you to read aloud at home with me. So please unmute yourself so we can hear each other as we read together. It may sound a bit disjointed, but it is a beautiful sound. It reminds me of the times when we were together in the fellowship and puts a smile on our face. The affirmation is on screen. Love
is the spirit of this congregation, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another.
If you close your eyes for a minute, I think you're right there in the fellowship. Okay, so Unitarian Universalists accept you for who and what you are. We're a welcoming congregation with membership open to all. We subscribe to no single creed, but have gathered a set of principles that guide us as we build a religious community together. Our minister is Reverend Lee Marie Sanchez, and she's with us this morning. Thanks, Lee Marie, for coming and joining us. She can't always join us because she is popular, so she often gets called to go somewhere else. She's with us every one Sunday a month for sure, but she tries to join us on the other Sundays as well. So lovely to see you today, Lee Marie. So now it is time for our joys and sorrows. If you feel so moved to briefly share a joy or a sorrow, you can do so at this point. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified, and a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. This is not a time for announcements, but rather a moment to express something in your heart. If you have something to share, please raise your hand. We will call on you when it's your turn. And please make sure you're unmuted before you start speaking. So the mission of our congregation it goes on even though we're not together in the fellowship. The costs that go with that mission continue, even though we can't pass our basket around in our building, which we all miss so much each Sunday. So you're now going to see the screen in a minute that shows you how you can contribute to help us keep our mission for world peace and social justice. Please give generously and with love. The links to both the Tithely site and PayPal are in the email that was sent to you to let you know about this service. So it is easy to click on the link and help us with our mission. So if you haven't done so already, please mute yourself whenever, in between, whenever you're not talking, so that we don't have interruptions and coughing, that kind of stuff in the background. Okay, so something that we always did when we were together inside the UUFLB was to take a moment to allow anyone who's recently joining us to raise their hand and introduce themselves. So if today is your first visit, or if you're relatively new to our virtual community, or if you have been away for a while, raise your hand if you choose. And when the spotlight is on you, please tell us your name, where you're from, and why you're joining us this morning. Do we have anybody that is new or relatively new? I think it's mostly familiar faces, huh? Okay, all right. Well, then let's move on. Something else that we used to do when we were in the building was we would celebrate birthdays. Now, last month we sang happy birthday to Mark Diamond, but we didn't sing happy birthday to anybody else who was a February birthday, and now we're in the month of March. So if you are have a birthday either in February or March, and you would like to be a part of our celebration of you, raise your hand, and then we're going to spotlight you so that everyone knows who we're singing to, and then we'll sing the birthday song. So anybody, I know we've got several birthdays out there. Okay, so I see Dara. All right, excellent. Mike's coming up too. And Dawn, oh, Dawn, I didn't know, when's your birthday, Dawn? We were talking earlier about birthdays. Is it coming
February
up?
16th was my birthday.
The 16th. Okay, good. So we're catching up with you. All right, yeah. Anybody else? So it's Dara, Mike, and Dawn. And I thought there was somebody else that was talking about it this morning. Maybe not. Oh, wait, Patrick. Let's see.
Where's Patrick?
Where's Patrick?
Oh, here he comes.
Oh, okay. All right. Did we miss anybody else? Okay, so we're singing to Dara, Mike, Dawn, and Patrick, looks like. And Mark's not with us today. Okay, good thing we did that last time for him. Okay, so Carol, when you're ready, let's sing them a song.
Okay. Everybody, let's go. Happy
Birthday
birthday
to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Mike, John, and Patrick.
Happy birthday to
you.
And many more.
And many more.
All right, thank you, everyone. If you can mute yourselves, thank you, Carol. Actually, I was just lip syncing the words myself because you people really don't want to hear me singing. Okay. Now, though, let's draw inside ourselves. It's time for our meditation. So if you'd like to join us, you can close your eyes, relax in your chair, put your feet flat on the floor, shoulders back, hands and arms relaxed. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Take another deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Follow the movement of your breath. Let's share a quiet moment of meditation together.
Now we're going to go ahead and sing our next hymn, which is Answering the Call of Love. So everybody, please join me. The promise of the Spirit writ, faith, hope, and love abide. And so every soul is blessed and made whole, truly loved. while hearts beat as one, bold by faith, we dare to proclaim, we are entering the sign of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, connected by fear, running to hear, denying beauty we find. We are answering the call of love. Hands join together while hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim, we are answering the call of love. A brighter day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of praise, carrying praise, filling where we find. We are answering the call of love. Hands join together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim, we are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
Thank you so much, Carol. So the title of our service this morning is Self-Compassion. The UU principle that I think matches this message is my favorite, really. It's number one. Unitarian Universalist congregations affirm and promote the inherent dignity and worth of every person. Every person includes you. I think we must honor the worth of ourselves is equal to everyone else. Once we do that, we have a much stronger ability to honor the worth and dignity of everyone else. So this stronger ability will help us to harness the energy we need to live up to our UU ideals of being social justice warriors. So the majority of the information I'm going to share with you today is from Dr. Kristen Neff, who's a pioneer and leading expert in the field of self-compassion research. She received her doctorate from the University of California at Berkeley and is currently an associate professor of educational psychology at the University of Texas at Austin. Back in graduate school, Dr. Neff became interested in Buddhism. While doing her postdoctoral work, she decided to conduct research on self-compassion, a central construct of Buddhist psychology, and one that had not been examined empirically yet. She has written numerous academic articles and books on the topic. Dr. Neff is the author of the book, Self-Compassion, The Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself. In June of 2021, she will be releasing her new book, Fierce Self-Compassion, How Women Can Harness Kindness to Speak Up, Claim Their Power, and Thrive. Sounds like I'm helping her sell her books, but actually, I'm just very excited about her message. So here's a video of Dr. Kristen Neff explaining the 3 components of self-compassion.
So how do I define self-compassion then? I really don't see a difference between compassion for self and others. I define them the exact same way. I argue that self-compassion has the components of a sense of kindness, care, understanding for yourself versus judgment, a sense of common humanity versus feeling isolated and cut off from others, and then a sense of mindfulness, right, being aware of the suffering that's occurring versus over-identification, which, again, I'll just clarify this in one moment. Let's go through each one separately. Okay, so self-kindness versus self-judgment. kindness is more than just hearts and flowers, okay? Kindness has a very active component to it. It means when you're kind to yourself, you really want to comfort yourself when you're suffering. You want to alleviate your suffering. You want to soothe yourself, okay? It's a very active stance where I want to do whatever I can to help myself feel as good as possible in this moment, okay? Common humanity, really framing one's own experience in light of the common human experience. It's very funny, if I were to ask any of you, you know, are you a human being? Are you a human being? Yes, of course. Is everyone else a human being? Yes, of course. Does everyone else suffer? Yes, of course. You would say that logically, but in the moment when you just blew it at work, or you had someone reject you, or something really bad happens in your life, what happens non-rationally is that we get very egocentric. We feel like, why me? This somehow has happened to me. I'm the only one who's messed up. I'm the only one who's going through that difficult time. And we feel really cut off from others. It's as if somehow when things go wrong, that's abnormal. You know, this is not supposed to be this way. Something has gone wrong. But you know, is that the case? Has anything gone wrong? Is anything abnormal? No. You know, that's what life is. Life goes wrong. No one in here signed a contract before you got, you know, born in this world saying, I would be perfect, my life would be perfect, and yet it's like, this is not the plan I signed up for. I'm pissed off about it, right? That's how we react. The problem with that, and there's a lot of problems with that, but one of the main things is when we feel isolated and cut off from others, you know, physiologically, that's very frightening. If you think evolutionarily, one of the worst things that can happen to us is to be isolated from the group, because then we aren't safe. And it's interesting, this aspect of well-being, I don't think has been studied enough. This sense of, can we feel connected to others in our suffering, or do we feel isolated from others in our suffering? And just, I can tell you in the workshops I've conducted, especially the 8-week ones, at the end I asked people what they got out of this the most. Almost every single person says common humanity. I realize it's not just me. It's not just me who judges myself. It's not just me who suffers like this. Very important to remember that this is the human experience. This is how things are supposed to be. Okay, nothing has gone wrong. Yes, it's painful, but it's normal. It's natural. And then this is where the mindfulness comes in. You have to be aware of your suffering in order to give it compassion. So mindfulness allows you not only to notice your suffering, but very important, and we'll talk about this more, to be with your suffering as it is. We don't like to be around suffering. If we could just get rid of pain, you know, we'd do it. And we have lots of psychological mechanisms to avoid that, again, which I'll be talking about in a little bit. So self-compassion says, wow, pain is occurring. Can I turn toward that? Can I be with that? And you actually need to do that to be able to give yourself the caring and support you need. All right? Now, some people do say, come on, you have to notice your suffering. Isn't it like blindingly obvious I'm suffering? But it's often really not. The pain caused by self-judgment, I think in some ways that's some of the worst pain all of us experience. You know, a constant, niggly pain. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not this enough. I blew it. I'm this, I'm that. But often we are so lost in the role of self-critic that we don't really stop to realize, oh my God, this is really, really hurting. You know? And in some ways it feels more comfortable to be the self-critic, because at least the self-critic isn't the person that messed up. You know, the self-critic knows you messed up. The part of you that feels really, you know, vulnerable and insecure and a failure. Often we don't give that sort of side of the process as much attention, okay? And then also very important when things go wrong in our lives, very often we go straight into problem-solving mode. It's like, there's a problem. I don't want there to be a problem. Need to fix the problem, you know, immediately. And what happens is we go straight into problem-solving mode and don't stop to, again, turn towards the suffering and say, whew, this is really hard, this is difficult, I need a little care and compassion to get me through this. Then we really aren't at our best and our most psychologically stable when we go towards trying to fix that problem. Okay, so it's actually something you have to remind yourself to do before going straight into fixing problems, to just acknowledge and validate how difficult the situation is.
So that is part of Dr. Neff's TED Talk on self-compassion. So if you want to see more, just go to YouTube and type in Dr. Kristen Neff, and you can see the whole thing. So anyway, coming up here in a second is going to be a, can't think of the word here. Oh yeah, slide that has her three components of self-compassion. And basically, I want us to say that what she's trying to tell us is that we have to practice self-kindness. We have to understand our common humanity, and we have to become mindful of our lack of compassion and aware of our suffering, and kind of treat ourselves like mother ourselves like we're babies, you know, because we have to become the best, the parent we didn't have, you know, when we were growing up, in the ways that our parents couldn't help us out. So that, I think, is what she's trying to communicate to us. So I want to suggest that after you get really good at practicing these steps that she outlined for us, those three components, and incorporating them into your life, then I think we are ready for the next step, which Dr. Neff describes as problem solving. So the three components have to be mastered first. And then I think we can take up the next step. And I use this technique in my life, and it helps me to become more self-compassionate. So there's Dr. Neff. We already saw her. Okay. All right. So I've used this technique in my life quite a bit over the years, and it's helped me. Of course, there's always more to do, right? But let me just share with you what's helped me. So it's a method similar to cognitive behavior therapy. And here's what I do. Every time I observe a negative thought flooding through my brain, I stop it, I recognize it, and I replace it. So I stop the negative thought. Then I recognize it, and then I replace it with a positive one. So for example, if I say to myself, I'm dumb, I forgot to put that important letter in the mail today. So I stop the thought. I recognize, hey, that's a mean thing to say to myself. And I replace it with something else, like, I was forgetful, but that's okay. Everybody's forgetful sometimes. I'll put it in the mail tomorrow, and I'll call to let them know it's going to be a little bit late. And I'm a thoughtful person for calling them, thinking about calling them and letting them know it's going to be late. So I stop, I recognize, and I replace. So this process is not easy. We have to break long established habits of putting ourselves down and focusing on our shortcomings. Instead, be aware of the thought, stop the thought, recognize it's causing you pain, and then replace it with a compassionate thought. So what happened doesn't mean there's something wrong with us. It just means that we're human. We're perfectly imperfect. We need to be the parent or friend stopping the unkind thought and replacing it with a kind thought. We need to show ourselves the same love we show others in our lives. So I think if we improve our ability to be compassionate with ourselves, then we can feel more compassion for other people. And as Unitarian Universalists, we are already proven social justice warriors. So we'll even improve our skill further. So now, today, we're going to try something a little different. We're going to try sorting ourselves into breakout groups. Actually, Dawn's going to sort us, but we're going to get sorted into breakout groups of about 4 people. And he's going to put us randomly into groups. And so we're going to have 10 minutes to discuss with each other in our group our ideas about self-compassion. So please make sure everyone in your group who wants to is able to share their thoughts. After our group discussions are finished, after the 10 minutes, we'll come back together as a congregation. Again, Dawn will help us come back, so don't worry about that. In fact, I think usually there's a little prompt that says your group chat's going to end in 1 minute or whatever. So we'll see how it all evolves. But anyway, Dawn's going to put us in breakout groups. We're going to be in there. We're going to talk about our ideas about self-compassion. And then while you're in there, if you can pick someone to report out one highlight of what your group talked about, that would be helpful when we come back together again as a fellowship. So right now it's time to be sorted into our breakout groups. And your task is to share your thoughts on self-compassion. Have fun. We'll continue. So I hope that you all had a productive breakout group and were able to share your ideas. And if one person from each group can raise their hand, we'll spotlight you and get you to share out a highlight from your discussions. So anyone who wants to go first? Oh, I see Patrick's hand.
Oh, yeah. So we talked a lot, kind of, meandered a little bit, but also really did focus on the topic at hand. One of the main things one of the things, the interesting ideas was this idea that ignorance is not bliss, and self-compassion is not necessarily a matter of just accepting and enjoying failure or just being fine with failure, but rather mostly it's a matter of forgiving yourself at least as often as you forgive other people, to keep that parity going. And also we were talking about how there's different, the different times in your life that you're faced with more possibility for failure and more failure as a result. And, being able to have that perspective can really help in your own ability to forgive yourself.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. So some of you are not muted. So if everyone can mute, because I'm hearing some background noise, if everyone can mute, then when someone does go to speak, we won't hear any background noise. So who would like to go next to share with us a highlight from their group? Okay, Teresa, please share. Nope, you're muted. I just told you to mute, didn't I? Go ahead.
Okay, great. So Rachel and Jean and I were discussing self-compassion, and Jean was talking about a little bit around procrastination, how that can occur sometimes. And sometimes it's a way of preventing us from looking at our perfectionism. And Jean was talking about when she used to be a teacher and she was doing various school reports and trying to put that off until the last minute because it took so much of her attention and it had to be perfect. And sort of releasing that as we grow older and we increase our wisdom and we have a lot more self-love and compassion. And Rachel talked a little bit about the acceptance of the health challenges as we age and our inability to maybe do everything that we did when we were younger, and being okay with that and learning to love ourselves and learning to have gratitude that we're here and that we are part of this wonderful society, that we're here living in this time, and that we have great gratitude for that, despite the lack of our ability or our fractured bones or our failing health. We just have to learn to accept and to love ourselves as we are right now. And then I talked a little bit about as we age, we have a different lens on maybe the way our ego influenced us. When I was younger, it was incredibly important to be well respected and to make sure that everything I said and did was perfect. And now as you age, it's kind of like, hey, everyone does the best they can. Everybody is going through their personal trials and their personal battles. And I mentioned Trump supporters not wearing masks and how mad that used to make me until I realized that they don't see what I see as a healthcare worker. And so I need to come to that from a different perspective of love and caring. And the only way I can do that is if I'm first compassionate with myself and realize that I have to understand that everybody is going through their own personal battle, and that we need to have love and compassion from one another, and we have to start with ourselves. So thank you.
Okay, thanks so much for sharing, Teresa. Okay, so looking for hands. Who would like to share up from a highlight from their group? Okay, Candy, go ahead.
I was with Pam, Donna, Dawn, and Dawn was already familiar with this doctor's work and books. I was not, but Pam and actually Donna, even though you weren't speaking a whole lot, but the three of us were all in kind of a student university climate, and things like encounter groups and self-help groups were very popular. And I think early on, through growing pains, I incorporated a lot of kinder self-thinking and self-talking by finding those tools that I needed. And being able to express myself with a group of people became pretty mandatory for me, as far as it's just the kind of person I guess I was. But I had that exemplified at home as well. And we were all talking about the fact that it's really good to be brave enough to share, be courageous enough to speak out when you need to, and realize that you're in community. It's so much easier to give somebody else advice and slant them in a positive direction, of course, than it is to do that for yourself. So it takes some work. It takes, as Dawn was saying, putting another tool in your toolbox, and then it becomes, as you do it more and more, it becomes more self-incorporated and a more natural way of being, just being kinder to yourself, because it becomes necessary.
All right, thank you, Candy. You were a fabulous spokesman for our group. Thanks so much. All right, so who else wants to share a highlight from their group? So we're looking for hands. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Hi, Donna.
Hi.
Yes, I was in a group with Carol and Carolyn and Jonathan, and we were talking about my dogs having to get on Zoom. Sorry about that, Chance, lay down. I started out by saying self-compassion, what's that? I am one of the most compassionate people. I'm told that I'm too compassionate, but when it comes to being compassionate with myself, I have a lot to learn, and I plan on going to Dr. Neff's side and watching the whole TED Talk. Carolyn was, I just admire her so much because she was saying she is so grateful for so many things in her life that it's hard to not have self-compassion, because what does she have to complain about? Her life is going well, and she's happy. And but we all admitted that we have those moments that we say to ourselves, oh, you're so stupid because you forgot to do this, or you're so ugly today, you know, my hair looks terrible. But just self-criticizing each other or ourselves. And yet all of us had such great compassion for other people. Jonathan shared that when it was 113 degrees where he was, that he wouldn't turn on the air conditioning because he was afraid of a blackout and it hurting other people. And the same with his heat, which I keep mine, I do the same thing with my house, but I mostly do it to keep my bills down. But I thought that was so generous of him to say that. And Carol admitted that she has her days that nothing goes right, and not nothing goes right, but she self-criticizes, but we're all learning to forgive ourselves and to go on. And we talked a little bit about how we stayed in the suffering, because when I don't want to be in the suffering, I just kind of put up a blank wall instead of saying, okay, you know, this is hurtful and I don't need to be doing this. And I can breathe and I can get over this and I can forgive myself. Instead, I just put up a wall and try and block it out. So we all learned a lot today, and I was very privileged to be in such a great group.
All right, and thank you so much, Annie, for sharing for your group.
Absolutely.
Okay, I see Jonathan now. Go ahead. Oh,
Unmute myself.
Unmute. Oh, there you go. Go ahead.
Quickly, I am amazed at Don and the technology involved in doing these breakout rooms. I just want to thank him for that.
Yes, I totally agree. Don is our technical maestro, so thank you so much, Don, for making this happen. Any other hands before we close things out? Do we miss anybody that wanted to share? I'm scrolling through. It looks like we got everybody. Okay, all right. Okay, so it's now time to extinguish our chalice. So I'll extinguish our chalice, and you at home can extinguish yours as well if you choose to do so. We extinguish this chalice and this flame, knowing that its light remains in the warmth and compassion of our hearts until we're together again. So Christopher Germer said, a moment of self-compassion can change your entire day. A string of such moments can change the course of your life. So let's leave our fellowship today, our fellowship community today, by making a concerted effort to practice self-compassion. So we need to be our own best friends. So go in peace, and namaste. We'll end our service like we usually do by singing together our closing song, Let There Be Peace on Earth. You'll be muted at home, but feel free to sing along with Carol. Also, we'll have our virtual cafe afterwards, so stick around if you can and join us. And thank you so much for joining us today, UUFLB live service. Carol?
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With earth as our mother, we are family. Let us walk with each other, perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my solid vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with me. Have a lovely day.
Thank you so much, Carol. Fabulous.